Welcome back, guys. This is the second episode of Raising Real Estate Standards, where we're talking about everything real estate and increasing the standards within the real estate industry. Brian, it's good to see you.
Hey, good to see you too.
Awesome. Well, today we're going to kind of talk about and discuss two of the most important resources that anyone has, but most importantly, that our audience as real estate agents have to deal with, and how to manage those resources, and those are time and money.
Time and money. Yeah. So
exciting.
Yeah, you only have so much time. Obviously, we're all kind of, it's morbid, but we're all kind of ticking towards that point where you're running out of it more and more. And then you also have money. People have different amounts, obviously, but the time and money resource thought process in your business is you're on a spectrum. You got time on one side and you have money on the other, and most people fall kind of in the middle of that. And these are the two pieces that you invest in your business. But most people, I have found, don't understand this. They kind of think they do. They think that it's just common. Hey, I'm where I'm at, so I'm going to do certain things. But you have to be intentional on the way you think about this. So I want to ask you a question. Where are you on this spectrum? Are you, do you have far more time than you have money to invest in your business? Are you newer to the industry? Are you kind of struggling a little bit on the revenue side of the equation? Where are you from that standpoint? Or are you doing fantastic? You are meeting all your goals. Everything's happening. You're having a wonderful year. But man, I haven't had time to do I haven't even sat down on a Saturday yet. I mean, what is a weekend? I don't even know what that is. Where are you on that spectrum?
Sure. And you can look out into the real estate world and you can see both are blaring out there. I mean, you've got agents that are constantly talking. I'm going to use the word complaining because that's not the right word, but they're talking about how tired they are, how they're spinning their wheels, how they're they're working, 60, 70, 80, 90 hours a week. But yet they're also very productive, and they're getting that revenue side of the game and closing a lot of deals. But at the end of the day, I mean, if you're spending all day, every day working and getting deals done, are you able to enjoy the fruits of your labor? That's one side of it, as you talked about, and then you have the other side, which that person is, that they're just they don't have it dialed in so far as getting the deals done, and they're struggling financially, and they're wondering where's the next paycheck coming from, and then when you're asking yourself where the next paycheck coming from, and you're that really is top of mind. Some questionable decisions are made, and where you're making decisions that affect other people, and you're looking at it through the lens of, do I have enough money? Can kind of gets into that degradation of the standards that we work behind.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So from a practical matter, when I'm talking to some of the agents that I'm coaching with, the first thing we look into when you're trying to figure out where you are on that spectrum, that piece is pretty easy. But then you got to go, okay, so let's prioritize our activities to focus on utilizing where you're at. That's the most humbling aspect. For example, I don't know how many times I've talked to somebody and they've been like, I'm doing well, but I'm just so busy. I don't have time. I've lost I just don't have time to spend with my family and my kids, and I feel like I'm neglecting them and this, that, and the other. And then we sit down and you look at yourself in the mirror and you go, okay, what are your priorities? And then all of a sudden it's kind of like, boom, it's boom. Wait a second. I've been so focused over here. That's been the biggest priority. But you're telling yourself, wait a second, I'm neglecting over here. Well, you're going to have to sacrifice something. especially at that level of success. So again, you're on that spectrum. You're doing really well on one side, you're losing on the other. Your activities and your investments need to be focused on growing that other side.
Yeah, and it's funny you say activities, and when we're having conversations with folks and we're talking about our priorities, we this is something we do daily when we're talking to agents, and you ask them what's your priority, and you always get answer X. I'm not even going to go what it is because everybody has different priorities, and then you start asking them, okay, well, what are you doing on a daily basis? What are your activities? And it's amazing how often the activities they're doing and their priorities are miles apart. They don't connect. They, in their mind, they want this X to be their priority, but what they're doing daily does not reflect that.
Yeah, I mean, you really have to be intentional. You have to know what it is you're trying to do and take these activities and be intentional. I heard something yesterday that was very profound. I mean, think about this for a second. Busyness does not equal fruitfulness. So just being busy does not mean you're going to just excel and see the fruits of your labor. I mean, you have to be intentional about the activities you do to get the results you're looking for.
Absolutely, and I'm not sure where you saw that, but I saw something very similar. That busyness does not equate to productivity, and productivity is not necessarily fruitfulness. But in our world, everybody seems busy. We're always busy doing something. There's very little time for relaxation or just contentment. And in the real estate world is so true. Everybody's doing everything, and at the end of the day, I would argue that some of the most productive and some of the most successful real estate agents are not super busy. They've got their systems dialed in, and they're not sitting there doing anything and everything by themselves. So I want to get rid of this myth that the super productive and super successful agents are ones with no lives, because that is not true. That is about as far from the truth as possible. I have seen agents that make no money work 80, 90 hours a week. So the correlation between time and money, by my means in the real estate world, I spend X amount of time and I will make X amount of money. That correlation is not there. It's about how I spend my time and being very intentional about it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, where you typically see that is where somebody is in that kind of middle range, and they don't know. They're like, wait a second, I need to invest in this in my business, but I'm not sure I can do that yet, or I'm not sure I want to let go of that bit of money or take on that bit of expense in order to increase that time. But you're exactly right. What typically happens and what you see with the higher income producing professional out there is they've learned to leverage their time. So they focus on higher dollar productive activities, and they've taken away these lower dollar productive activities and placed them somewhere else. And it's not utilizing their time, it's utilizing someone else's or something else's time so they can focus on their highest dollar productive activity.
Yeah, I mean, and not only that, maybe the highest dollar productive activity for them is to go to a soccer game or go to a swim meet in the middle of the day. That's part of it, because everybody has different needs and wants. But yes, leveraging all of the time, somebody else's time or something else's time and expertise is super important. Well, why don't we take this? So we talked about the spectrum. You talked about you have time and money. Why don't we start with that quintessential person that has entered into the business in the last 2 to 3 years that may have more time on their hands than they do money when they do revenues. So how does that person prioritize what they're doing in their daily activities to help raise their standards and increase their business?
Yeah, so that should be an easy question, but it's funny, we get that so much. So really, if you think about where you're at in your business maturation cycle.
That's a big word, maturization.
The professional that's been in the business for a few years, they haven't really reached that pinnacle that they're looking for at this point. The focus should be on lead generation. That's where your priority should be. Your priority should be on lead generating as much as possible to be able to generate the business to get you to that pinnacle. Now, here's the thing. You can lead generate many different ways. There's ways that are going to take you a lot of time, but it's not going to cost you as much. And then there's ways that are going to cost you a lot of dollars, but it's going to take you less time. So you've got to figure out what it is you can do and what it is you want to do within your business to make that make sense.
Sure. And I think one of the things that we've kind of unpacked it and realized over the number of years that we've been coaching and training agents is that it's more about putting the right activity with the right person and figuring out who this person is and what makes them tick to make sure that they're doing the right things. I mean, there's 10 different ways to skin a cat. We all know that. And as a new agent, one of the biggest things that that they struggle with is consistency and finding out and doing something in the lead generation area and continuing to do it. And one of the biggest things that we have found really is to peel back who the person is, what they like to do, and if you find out what someone's general tendencies are, and what their what they do naturally on a day-to-day basis,
What they like,
what they like, you're going to find that there's different ways that meet that. And are congruent with them and their lifestyle that will help them be consistent. And this is not a business of one size fits all. There's just a lot of different things. So you have to really figure out who you are, what you like, and then you put plans and systems in place, and then you go do it. And as we talked about time and money. There are lots of ways to lead generate with something that you like doing or that is congruent with who you are as a person. That doesn't take a lot of money.
Yeah, very true. So, and it's funny that you mentioned, kind of who you are. So what we like to do is we like to give these DISC tests to certain agents and employees in our business, because what we have found is people they know who they are, but they don't know who they are, if that makes sense. So there's a specific personality that's going to be better led to do one type of lead generation. There's a specific personality that's going to be led to do another type of lead generation. And so I would encourage you guys to take a personality profile test, take a DISC test, take one of these tests out there and figure out, hey, what am I going to be best at? What is going to make me the happiest? What am I gonna exceed in what I'm trying to do, and focus on that route. If you want to know which personality goes with which type, let us know. We'd love to be able to help you out from that standpoint. Shoot us a message or a comment on the social media platform here we have. But really, you just need to be tied in to who you are, to what you're doing. That's the main thing. So one thing I also want to talk about is, prioritizing your activities. So regardless of what you're looking to do, whether it be time or money, what you're trying to produce out of what we're doing here, you need to prioritize your activities that focus on that as the end game. So if you are at that point where, hey, I'm trying to get a little bit of time back, then you need to start prioritizing your activities and your investing within your business to focus on, how do I kind of scale a little bit of my business to be able to get some of that time back. On the flip side, if you are focused more on, I need to build my revenue base and increase my profitability, then you need to focus more on, hey, what can I do to do that? I'm going to spend one of the two. I'm going to spend money or time, but you need to focus on, investing in those activities, and then go back to what we were talking about before, that's usually lead generating from that standpoint.
Sure. We've been talking a lot about these ambiguous and big, kind of not nailed down ideas. Why don't we unpack a couple of, in regards to that person who is just pulling their hair out because they're spinning their wheels and they're working 70 hours a week, and they're killing it and doing tons and tons of transactions. Why don't we break down really? Let's get granular in this. What can this person that is pulling their hair out do? What would be the first step that they can do to leverage some of their time and get a little bit of their time back?
So it's funny you asked that. So we have a great question here from Amy in Burlington, and she's asked, "Hey, I'm starting to get really busy in my real estate career, and my family is important to me. What can I do to make sure that I stay in balance?" So that's a great question, Amy. The first thing you really need to do, again, and you need to go in and look at yourself in the mirror. You need to ask yourself, what are my priorities? Where am I out of balance? Most people don't realize they're out of balance until they've gotten way out of balance. So you need to ask yourself those questions about the priorities. Next, after that, is how do I plug in intentional activities to make sure I'm getting that back in balance? So, for example, here you go. Figure out what you're doing within your business. So, what does your business look like? Just take a second, write down all of the things you do within your business. What's taking all your time? If that's the issue, I need to get back in balance. What am I doing? Then put a dollar value to every one of those, or a priority value to every one of those activities. Then figure out, okay, in order to keep what my monetary base or my time base that I've got in place here, how can I roll some of these activities off? Like in this case, it's time. How do I roll some of these activities off and still maintain my level of monetary balance when I'm doing that? Because again, this whole thing is a give-take. There's going to be sacrifice one way or the other. That's why it's so important to sit back and go, what are my priorities?
Okay. I'm going to ring you back in.
Okay.
I want to know something specific. So Amy, we'll use this, and I'm going to make some assumptions, is running a $8 million sales business. So she's roughly on an annual basis doing $8 million in sales. And let's just say it's about 60% listing properties and 40% helping buyers purchase properties. In the market that we're in right now, if you're doing that type of spread, you're working with buyers a lot, because it takes a lot of effort to find houses in a low inventory market. So walk me through what is one thing Amy can do that she can leverage, that she can look at to help give her back a little bit more time. I want specifics of what she can do. And we're going to make assumptions because we don't know Amy's ins and outs of her life and her world, other than she wants more time with her family.
The first thing I would say is, and this is really specific to the market that we're in today, but the first thing I'm going to say is if you're doing 40% of your business with buyers, the amount you need to allocate how much time you're putting into that, because working with buyers right now just eats so much time away. It is what it is. It's just part of the market. So if that would be the first thing I would say, is figure out how to go from 60-40 to 80-20. And that can be done by a couple ways. Number one, it could be done by, refer some of this business off. Yeah. If you don't have buyer's agents or you don't have a team you're working with, refer some of this business off, because, hey, think about if you're showing 15 properties to somebody in a matter of 2 days, how much time that takes. Right. And then how much time because let's just be honest, you're going in and you're competing with other agents in these offers. So, if you're showing them 15 properties, well, they've probably put in like 8 or 9 contracts on some of these. So, I mean, that's taken a good bit of time. Now, if you can refer that out to somebody that is hungry, doesn't have the revenue that you're looking at here with $8 million in production with Amy, if you can get them to refer that out to somebody else, then they're still looking at getting a referral fee for that business. Plus, they can take that time back. So here's you're on the spectrum. You've sacrificed 75% or whatever the referral fee you're giving up, or whatever the commission you're giving up in this aspect is. That's the sacrifice you're making. You're getting that time back. So then allocate what is the time that you would have spent with this person, and you put that into lead generating, but specifically intentional lead generating to lead generate for listing seller business.
Sure. I think that's a great idea. I'd also say, I mean, as people are, one of the hardest thing for productive people to do when you're leveraging time and money is to give up money. We don't, when you said we'll refer this out, that's a humbling experience and a kind of a guttural experience. You really feel it deep down when you refer something that you could have easily taken care of, and you're going to give that to someone else, and all you're going to get is a portion of it. But you have to remind yourself, you go through your priorities, your activities and your actions and your priorities need to be in match. And you've told us that your priorities is keeping your family in balance. And thus this action of referring a piece of business to give you back what could be an extensive amount of your time to only retain a portion of the revenue is a big step forward. I would also say that if you're not ready to fully throw and refer out business, there are services within different organizations. I know our organization offers it, which is leveraging showing services. And so while maybe you don't refer the entire transaction, but you refer or you utilize a service that will jump at when a buyer has a house they want to see and they need to see it within the next 10 minutes or whatever, that you're not having to jump, that somebody else will go do that for you, and you've getting back some of your time, but you're still going to take that transaction. So utilizing showing agents and things of that nature is also another initial step when trying to leverage time and money.
Yeah. So biggest thing from that is, and I've watched agents do it. They hold off. They hold off as long as possible because nobody wants to spend a dime. But they hold off as long as possible on the investment within their business, and then after the fact, and they see the investment turns into an enormous amount of revenue growth. And then all of a sudden they're like, why didn't I do this before? But it is this epiphany, because all you think of is the expense side of the equation. You don't think of the income side of the equation that's going to bring back to you. And there is that aspect. And it's scary. If you're doing it for the first time, it's like hiring an assistant for the first time. Oh my gosh. It's just a gut-wrenching activity going through hiring help for the first time. But once you do it, you've taken yourself to the next level just by doing that. And that's the biggest thing you take away. If you really want to grow to the next level, you got to start focusing on investing in your business.
Absolutely. And one of the things that, we're not going to be able to unpack in this podcast really is some of the really specifics and getting down into the granular aspects of it. But I know that you and I have seen it time and time again. That person finally makes that decision, and they take a risk, because it is anything that you do is a risk. Not doing something is a risk, but they take the risk and they start to leverage and utilize services, bring in help to help them run their business, whether it be an assistant, whether it be utilizing some concierge services, whatever it may be. But adding that into their business, and two things happen typically. It's funny. Us is that we look at agents from maybe a 5,000 foot view versus in the weeds with them. We see them go from that $5-7 million producer, and they decide they want to put leverage into their business, and boom, within 12, 18 months, they've then taken their $5 million, $7 million business and turned it into a $14 and $20 million business. All, by the way, they've gotten balance in their life, and they're able to spend more time with their family.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about picking one side over the other, but that is definitely what happens. You know, you end up in the long game. It's all about scaling. Once you scale your business, that's what's going to happen. You're going to get time back, and you're going to hit these income numbers that you never thought you'd hit.
Absolutely. Well, we're kind of coming to the end of our second episode, and I know there's still a lot of stuff that we need to kind of dive into, and we will over the next number of episodes. But we really appreciate you guys listening in with us. And until next time in the next episode, hope you guys have a great one.
Yeah, let us know if there's any kind of questions you guys have on, how or some ideas of where you can invest more time or invest more money within your business to get the best return back. Hey guys, thank you, and we'll see you next time.